Developing tonight with only 37 days before the election, the New York Times has reportedly obtained a trove of tax return data belonging to President Donald Trump. Now, the president has long fought to keep his taxes private and claims that this latest round of reporting is fake news. Nicole Killian has the latest from Washington on this new twist.
The New York Times reports President Trump paid $750 in federal income taxes the year he won the presidency, and the same amount during his first year in the White House. Times reporters say they have tax returns for Mr. Trump extending over more than 2 decades, including extensive information from his first 2 years as president. They say he paid no income taxes at all in 10 of the previous 15 years, largely because he reported losing much more money than he made. The president responded during a news conference late Sunday.
Totally fake news. No, actually I paid tax, and you'll see that as soon as my tax returns. It's under audit. They've been under audit for a long time.
President Trump also defended his Supreme Court nominee, Amy Coney Barrett, who he says is being targeted because of her religion.
They're going after her Catholicism. I will stand with her, fight with her, and we will make sure that these attacks stop.
President Trump has indicated he wants Judge Barrett confirmed before November 3rd because she may be needed to help decide a disputed election. But congressional Democrats say she should recuse herself from any election contest involving the president.
I certainly wish she would. It would really help matters, and it would evidence the fact that she wants to be fair in addressing this.
Sunday, Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden warned Americans Barrett would likely vote to dismantle the Affordable Care Act in the middle of a pandemic.
The judge has a written track record of disagreeing adamantly with the Supreme Court's decisions on 2 occasions upholding the ACA.
The former vice president and President Trump will meet for their first debate Tuesday night in Cleveland. Nicole Killian, CBS News, the White House.